And what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Designated Players, an MLS podcast. Today, we have another special guest as we continue our series into the world of MLS Next Pro, and we are joined by Red Bull 2 midfielder Adri Mehmeti. How you doing?
Good, man. Good.
Good, good. Well, like I said, we're really happy to have you here, and we spoke with your buddy Matty Dos Santos just a couple weeks ago, and we really were interested in the other side of what MLS is. Our listeners are mainly MLS fans, but there's always this big pipeline of people being fed into the league from this new MLS Next Pro. So we're really excited to get to sit down and chat with you. So before we jump in, we just kind of want to run through this very impressive list of accolades that to get people to understand who you are, right? So just to read a few here, the youngest ever debutant for Red Bull 2 at just 14 years old, a few days before you hit 15, technically. We're going to give you 14 on that one. The youngest player to tally an assist in the club's history just a few months after that. U15 MLS Next Cup champion. I mean, tons of time at Red Bull 2, training with Leipzig, international experience with the US and Albania, UEFA Talent Development Tournament. I mean, all these things before what I'm assuming is you got your learner's permit. You probably did all that before you even were driving a car, which is
Yeah,
insane.
man.
Do you ever think about this and just how cool it is to kind of be in this spot?
Honestly, I just live and enjoy the moment, man. Like, especially achieving all those, milestones. It's just a big honor, and I'm just hungry for more. So,
Well, that's really good to hear. I know it's a grind down there. MLS Next Pro being what it is, it's a lot of hard work to get there, and it's great to watch you guys do that. And Red Bull specifically being the pipeline that it has been is just a really cool place to watch the next group of players come in. And we know that from your chat, from the chat that we had with your teammate Maddie, as we were talking about before, that most players are getting through Red Bull 2 through the academy system that Red Bull set up. How did you get here? Can you talk to us a little bit about your path to the MLS Next Pro team?
yeah, it's again similar to how all the guys get into Rebel 2. I started in the academy since U12, and I just rose through all the age groups, and we just had to find the right time when I could break it into that professional environment, and we found the time. And after the MLS Next Cup, which we won with the U15s, we thought the time was right there, and after that, it's just up from there. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, talk to us about that feeling, the conversation. You win this U15 tournament, and I'm assuming the options are plenty for you, and they come in and they have you have this conversation about what the next step is for you. What was that moment like? How did that feel? Taking it all in at that time.
yeah, it was a great feeling, obviously, because that's always the goal, I think, for everybody to make it to the next step. Even if you're U13, you want to make it to the U14, and then keep going U15 to the U17, U19, and then to the second team, hopefully to the first team for me as well. But when I got into that conversation with the academy director, I was like, this is a big moment. I think I earned the moment too to train. It was a week I trained with the second team after MLS Next Cup, and I was just going in there thinking just give everything I have, and try to prove a point.
Yeah, and that sort of mindset is a great one to have, right? Because you can't have reservations going into things like that. You absolutely have to just go out, give it your all, and then let the pieces fall where they're at. And very clearly, they like what you had. You have a midfielder with tons of talent, tons of potential. But like we mentioned, our listeners usually just the MLS side of it. They don't watch the pipeline and who's coming up next. So can you describe for our listeners kind of what type of player are you? What's your play style? What are your roles in the team, your responsibilities in the shape and things like that?
I think I'm a very forward-thinking player. Like every time on the ball, especially every time I get the ball, I always try break lines. Play those killer passes in behind to our nines, to our tens, and then off the ball, I'm always gonna give everything I have. Like just make that sprint back. I work as hard as I can. I talk on the field. I think I'm very loud and vocal. But again, I just every time I step on that field, I try to give everything I have and leave the field with no regrets. So
That's a guy after my own coaching heart. That's my mentality is, don't leave with regrets. That's my we were just
Yep,
talking about that yesterday actually, right? If you leave with regrets, you haven't done your job. So that to
exactly.
me, I love hearing that, as you can tell, a little bit of a Red Bull fan here. So to watch you come in with that mentality, that's really exciting for me and for a lot of the fans that are going to listen to this. But just building off of that, because we talked about your role and responsibility, that usually changes when you've got different people in charge, and most of us know that there has been a bit of a change now. Michael Bradley being in charge, former Red Bull, bit of a decent career as a center midfielder, I think we can all say. How has it been? I know it's been a really short time, but how has it been having him in charge? Has he taught you any tips, tricks? I mean, we were just talking about it before. He's sung your praises a little bit in the press conference that he was at. What have you taken from him so far? How do you feel playing under him?
No, I think to have a coach that has played, at the highest level with all that experience, it's always, you know, good to have, and especially him playing as a six as well. I try, he's always talking to me during the trainings, like those little side conversations, like maybe drift into this space, or maybe, can you take that touch forward? So he's always giving me like reminders so I can, help myself, help my game, improve my game, and also, just like just there, yeah.
No, you're that's like I said, it's always neat to have. I always thought it was cool, and I also want to touch a little bit on your time under Ibrahim Sagaya, who's now with the first team. You know, having all these different viewpoints is really nice, but to have all those different viewpoints from people not only who were former players themselves, but former players in the team that you're a part of, has that different dynamic to it. So, under Ibrahim or under Michael Bradley as well, like, do you feel that connection to the Red Bull can I guess the Red Bull connection, for lack of a better term?
Yeah, I mean, both coaches have different ideas,
Yeah,
and the ideas, I think, what we've been working on the past week, 2 weeks with Michael, it's been working a lot, and I think all the guys, they've taken in his ideas, and we've all been implementing it on the field every time we step on the field. So it's been really good. So let's keep
yeah.
going.
Yeah, well, that's how it is, right? You guys have done really, really well. I mean, top of the table right now, which is a great place to be. You always want to be leading from the front, but it'll be interesting to see the tweaks that come in over the next couple of weeks under the new leadership. And I think a lot of people are excited for Michael's not only coaching career near the future, but what he can impart on players like yourself or Jarvis, for example. In those roles that he's so familiar with, right? So
Yeah,
definitely excited to see how that goes. A lot of people will know MLS Next Pro is the place for players to develop and improve and make it to that next step. But talk to us a little bit about how being a part of this setup has helped in your development as a player, right? Have you felt like you've grown more in this more professional environment?
yeah, definitely. I think having the second team is a clear like it's a clear style of play. So when you make that jump to the first team, you're already ready, and you know how they play, how we press, the style when we have the ball, what kind of football we need to play. So having a second team is, it's great. So when you make that jump to the first team again, you're always ready.
Yeah, yeah, and that's pretty much when we spoke to Maddie, it was the same deal. It was like it's all one big pipeline and it's all the same ideas. So that transition from one to the next is not as difficult as outside of the physicality and the speed of play, right? So and
Yeah,
that's something that you can get up to super easy. So we've talked a little bit about Michael Bradley and kind of his little tips and tricks, these side conversations that he's having to you. But anybody player wise, teammate wise, past or present, that has helped you transition into this professional environment into Red Bull too. The mentor, if you will.
yeah, I would definitely say the older guys. I
Mm-hmm.
would say definitely Dylan Sullivan. I think when I first came in, because he plays the same position as well. So
Mm-hmm.
when I first came in, he was always kind of guiding me, you know, just to where to be, being in the right positions, being half distanced when we're off the ball, being in between players so you can make that last step. And he's still helping me right now too to this day. So I think he's also a really good person to be around, very humble guy, and it's always great to just be around him.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and it's always that's one of the other things that I love to see too is having that connection, right? Somebody who can get you up to speed as quickly as you can is so important. I think Red Bull does a really good job of that. Everybody we've spoken to says the same thing. They always have somebody, whether it be in the same position or in the locker room, just the person they sit next to, who helps take them along, which is such a really important part when you're, especially at the young developmental age that you all are at. That's such an important part to have. So it's so good to hear that. Yeah. So listen, goal setting we know is important in any aspect for any career in life, but especially in football, right? Especially in this game. So maybe, we'll do a short term and a long term goal for you for our listeners to understand kind of what your end goal is. Let's say by the end of this year for your short term goal, and maybe by the next 5 years or so for your long term. Like, can you give us a little bit of what your aspirations are?
Yeah, for the short term goal, I definitely want to make my MLS debut with the
Yeah.
first team. I mean, it's something I think every little kid dreams of, when they start kicking a ball. And I think I've been working to that goal, and hopefully it'll come one day. And I'm going to continue to work. And I hope the coaches, have the trust in me, to put me into a game with high intensity, speed of play.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm just going to keep on pushing for that every single day, every training, every game, so then they can see that, and then they can, hopefully, make my dream come true.
Yeah.
But again, for the long term goal, I would say definitely to be in Europe. I think I don't think there's another place I would want to start my career. It would have to be at Red Bulls, because I've been
Yeah.
here my whole life and I know the system, I know the style. So it wasn't really like a hard decision to sign the professional contract,
Mhm.
and then just to keep working with the coaches, the players, all the staff. So hopefully I can go to Europe one day, and then go from there. So
Yeah. What's the goal for your next step? Maybe dream and realistic. Like, where do you think you fit in most? And then where would you like dream move to?
like what team?
Yeah, well, yeah, team, league, whatever you want.
It has to be Barca or Man City. Just their
Nice.
style of play, I just love it. It has to be one
Yeah.
of them.
Yeah. Would you have a place you'd like to go before there? Say you go to City and they loan you out somewhere, right? Where that place you'd love to go to?
Probably, I mean, probably Germany. I've been with Leipzig,
That's right.
so and they do have a good development path.
Mhm.
Yeah, the league is a very competitive league, so definitely there.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's so cool. So yeah, like I said, I know we're getting you at the back end of your training session. Don't want to keep you too long. We really appreciate you hopping on and having this conversation with us. I know we got a big Red Bull following on our side, so very excited for them to listen to this. But we always want to wrap up these conversations with just some quick fire questions to help get to know you both as a player and as a person, right? Because too many people, I think, sometimes think of players as just robots on a field and not really understanding
Yeah,
who they are as individuals, right? So just a little bit about you, and what we're going to do is we're going to give you the same list that we gave Maddie, and say maybe do a little comparison for some of these at the end, because some of them it'll be interesting to see if you match. But we'll start easy. We'll go favorite, and you might have hinted at this already. Favorite non-Red Bull team.
not Barca.
Yeah, yeah, it sounds about right. As a lot of my players are the same way there. You got any pregame rituals, superstitions that you stick to?
Honestly, no, no. I mean, I always pray before the game. So
Okay, yeah, that's
yeah,
that's that's one of them there. That's cool. In school, favorite subject. What do you like to study?
gym.
Nice.
And
That's a
I
good
was
one.
like, math. I would say math.
Good, good, good. Love that. Love that. Yeah. Favorite player growing up? Who do you try to mimic, and who's your favorite?
Like favorite player,
Yep.
Busquets or Rodri, has to be one of them.
Nice. Man,
Love them.
it'd be something to get you into a game right before you get to maybe Miami, right? Get in and play
Yeah,
against him. Yeah, that'd be something. All right, this is one we're gonna need to do a little bit of comparison on. Who's got the best locker room music taste? Who's on the aux? Who's got first call?
got to give it to Jarvis.
Okay.
Jarvis.
That's good. I think he got a mention with Matt. He's gonna have to go back and check. But yeah, I think he got a
Yeah.
shout there. When you're on travel, who's the travel buddy? Who you sitting next to? Who's the roommate?
Tanner, Tanner or Maddie, Tanner or Maddie, one of them.
Nice. All right. Very good. Very
Because
good.
we're,
Yeah.
we're the young ones, we have to be together.
Got to stick together. No, I I
Yeah.
get that completely. Yep. If you're not a footballer, what is your dream job?
Oh dang. Wow. Honestly, I pick another sport?
Yeah.
I would be. I think I'd be a pro ping pong player.
Ping pong. Okay, how'd that come
Yeah,
about?
on it, my dad, he played ping pong when he was in Albania, like
Uh
professionally. So he just kind of like coached me to like
huh.
be good.
So your dad went from being a pro table tennis player to now you are in the pro soccer world. That
Yeah,
is that is a pipeline. Wow, did not see that one coming.
yeah.
Um, that's awesome. That is very, very cool. Favorite soccer memory. We'll get you out on this one. Favorite. What's the one you're never gonna forget?
I got two. It's gotta be my debut. Again, just I've just been dreaming of that since I was little.
Yeah.
And then I have to say the U15 MLS Next Cup win. That was just a great moment. Especially, I don't know if you watched the game, but we went down 1-0, and then we
Yep.
had 5 minutes to score 2 goals. It was
Yeah.
great.
Oh, I remember. I didn't realize it was on TV until I just flipped. I was, oh yeah, I'll watch it, and I switched on just before he scored the goal. I was like, this is insane.
Yeah, man.
Um, Tell us a little bit about. But sorry, just to I know we said we are gonna get you out. Tell us a little bit about the debut. Who was it against? What was the where was it at? What was the vibe?
Yeah. So it was at home at MSU against. It was against Hudson Valley Hammers actually in the Open Cup.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think I came on around like the 70th minute. Yeah, like 70th minute. They had a red card, so it was a bit of a easier debut to get into. To get into the game. We were up like 4-0, I think, and I was just getting the ball, connecting passes forward, do what I do, and everybody congratulated me and everything. So it was a great experience.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. That is so very good. Audrey, thanks so much for hopping on. Like I said, I don't want to keep you too long. We'll let you get back, recover, and do what you got to do. But thanks so much for hopping on with us. We really enjoyed it, and we know our listeners will as well. Best of luck with the rest of the season. Continue to do what you guys are doing. We love watching you guys succeed, and can't wait to see you in the first team one day.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Thanks everybody for listening. We hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next time on the next episode of the Designated Players and MLS podcast. See ya.